Welcome to the Real Estate Entrepreneurs Podcast. Real people doing real deals in real estate and no fake gurus allowed. We bring you the best and the most real estate investors in the space. They'll be showing you the good, the bad, and the ugly of real estate investing. Like, share, subscribe, get notified. It's the Real Estate Entrepreneurs Podcast.
Welcome to the Real Estate Entrepreneurs Podcast. Today, I have a treat for you. I don't know if this is a treat or a blessing, but I am excited about this particular one for the fact that this man doesn't hold back at all, man. He's an open book. He has plenty of life stories. I got the honor and the pleasure to meet him in Phoenix, Arizona a few weeks ago with his partner, who's actually sitting behind the camera right now taking some pictures. And, man, he's got a great story. I introduce to you Mr. Charlie Hustle. Thank you so much, Charlie, for flying all the way from California and coming here, man.
Thank you for having me on your podcast. I'm very excited to be here.
Man, it's an honor because very few people have a story like the one you have. I connected with you in many different ways, okay? And when we were at the All-In event and Corey Sperber was talking and you like, I don't know, you came out of the blue. Hey! It was like screaming and hollering. And you say, hey, this is Charlie Hustle. And the guy, he picked up on you right away. Oh, shit, who is this guy, right? And then you went and told your story. I don't want to get too far ahead, but after you told your story, I said, man, I got to get this guy in the Real Estate Entrepreneurs Podcast because this is real. This is real life examples. People go through life, and Charlie has definitely gone through a lot of stuff, good and bad, and we're going to talk about that today. So let's take it back, Charlie, to when you were little, man. Where were you born? Where did you grow up? How were your upbringings?
I was born in San Diego County, and I moved around a lot. I lived a little bit in Orange County.
Why were you moving around a lot?
Actually, I moved around a lot. I remember one particular year, and I was really little, and I think it was because my folks were having trouble with some unemployment. So they were having some challenges, and that's why we kept moving a lot. I was really little, so I wasn't too sure. I just knew that I was moving a lot, and we moved so much that they retained me on the third grade. They actually held me back. They said, you're not going to go to the fourth grade. You're actually going to stay on the third grade. So where your parents, where were they from?
My mother was born in Tijuana.
Okay.
And then she came here when she was really little, I think like 3 or 4 years old.
Okay.
And my dad, my real dad, was born in Los Angeles County. And I actually met him after 40 years. So
After how long?
After 40 plus years.
40. Oh, wow.
So I didn't know who he was because, for one, he spent some time in prison.
Okay.
So, I didn't see him.
Right.
And two, I had a stepfather that had filled in that role, right?
So he picked you up when you were little, and he became your father, basically.
He was my father figure, and because of him, I was able to learn, a lot of trades. I learned electrical, plumbing at a really young age. He started as an immigrant, working on washers and dryers, and then he told his boss, hey, I want to do better, so I want to learn how to fix them. So his boss sent him to school in Los Angeles to learn how to fix washers and dryers.
Oh, wow.
And then he became self-employed and was making over $100K.
Wow.
So I remember when I was starting to get self-employed, like in my 20s, working as a handyman, he said, hey, I came to this country with nothing. I was merely just like a janitor in the laundromat. And he said, if I'm making $100K, you have no excuse because you were born here. So you have everything. Right.
So you have no excuse.
Right.
And then lastly, I also saw my mother, when she was young, she was working on the fields and picking strawberries, just like the rest of the migrant workers. And I saw her go from there to working for the library, and then she actually became a realtor.
Oh, wow.
So I saw both of my parents, both of them go self-employed when I was really young. So I didn't have any excuse. I was like put up against the wall because both of my parents were said, hey, you don't have an excuse. You were actually born in the best country in the world.
Yeah, you had an upper hand over them, is what they were saying.
Yes.
They had to come here. They had to become immigrants and do a lot of hard labor to begin with, and then they started growing themselves.
And I was no different too. I've been entrepreneur since I was probably like 7 or 8 years old because I started cutting grass for my neighbors.
Okay.
And then I graduated into a newspaper route. Then I was a paper boy.
Yeah.
So I kept moving up as I was young.
Right.
And early as, even when I was just turned 15, I already had a job. So most of my life, I've been working pretty much for myself.
What was that job when you were 15?
The first job I ever had was at Tacobell. It's the very first job I've ever had.
Hey, man, I love Tacobell. I didn't gain all this weight by watching people eat, So that was the first job, and then what? How do you start progressing on your jobs? Like, well,
I think more than anything, so I'm going to take a couple of steps back. I think that, like a lot of Hispanics, we fall into this kind of cultural thing, whatever you want to call it, machismo, or, at least for me, I felt like I had to be a certain way and do certain things. And so that didn't help. That didn't help me. I was hanging around the wrong people. And I think it wasn't until...
You wanted to be a bad boy.
I wanted to be just a bad dude.
Yeah.
Right? Even in school... I was always getting into fights. I remember getting into my first fight in the 2nd grade in front of my folks, like in front of my mom and dad.
Wow.
Right? And that was accepted. It was okay as long as I didn't get my ass whooped.
So I'm wondering about your environment because, yeah, your mother and your father were hard workers, right?
Yes.
So were they gone most of the day?
They were gone most of the day, so I spent a lot of time on the streets.
That's why. So you were picking up all your habits and surroundings, not necessarily from your parents, but from the people around you.
So yes, and for me, it was more of a survival thing, right? So I'm just like a real survivor. That's all I know. You put me anywhere, I don't care where. Drop me off anywhere, I'll figure this shit out. I'm going to figure it out.
Yeah,
that's one thing I know.
There's a buddy of mine. His name is AC Ramos. He says he's a wholesaler too, a real estate investor actually. He says, Ricardo, man, you put me in the middle of fucking nowhere, butt ass naked. I will come back with a house and a bank account full of money.
Yes.
So yeah, I can relate to what you're saying.
So it's just a survivor's mentality that you have. And there's no I didn't really have like any backup plans.
Yeah.
And so everything was just like, everything was just based on action. The first thing you pop it in your head, you just take action.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until, I really started thinking about things and really looking back at my life, that I was really wanting to make a change. Right. That change was really difficult to go from one environment to the other one.
Okay. So let's talk about the hard environment. Okay. The rough one. What kind of things were you doing when you were like, I don't know, 18, 19?
Well,
were you gang banging?
Well, I'll tell you this much. I hung around them, but what happens is I didn't like hanging around guys. I like hanging around the girls. Okay. So I wasn't into the whole gang thing, okay. Right? I was more interested in making money, right, than just trying to do bad things.
Right.
And so for the most part, like I mentioned, I've been self-employed, whether it was working on houses, maybe I was selling a little dope or something.
Yeah.
Maybe I was cutting grass, but I was always doing something.
What kind of grass were you cutting?
You got me on that one.
Yeah. So you were doing a lot of multiple things, right? And you mentioned something. You wanted to hang around girls. What was that? You just want to get laid or what?
No, not at all. The whole purpose was, I think when, when you get when people join gangs, and it's mostly all guys, right? And you're just doing bad things. And so that, even though I was...
Yeah, you're just planning the next hit.
Yeah.
Who you're gonna beat up? Who's the guy we're gonna kick ass today, right? Like, but when you're with girls, what kind of conversations are you having?
I mean, it's better, right? Because, if you're hanging around girls, you can go places, have fun, do things. With guys, you're just getting in trouble. I'd rather hang out with the girls and go have fun. Right, I'm a very outgoing person.
Okay,
and I didn't like just hanging around, just a bunch of guys. So that gang thing
was boring. Yeah, that was boring.
I would rather go out and do something more risky, right? Maybe go sell some drugs than do the gang thing. That really never.
Yeah, the gang thing you knew was gonna get you in troubles.
Well,
but if you're gonna get in troubles, you're gonna do it by selling dope, not by beating people up, right? No, I get it. I agree. I mean, I wouldn't disagree with that either.
They might get beat up if it don't pay the bill.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay, so how long were you in that life to where you were selling a little dope here, cutting some grass there, hanging out with the chicks? What?
I'm gonna tell you what really changed in my life. Like dramatically.
What was it?
Okay, a lot of people say that God changed their life.
Yeah.
For me, it was the devil talking to me, saying, "Hey, come on, you ready to go? Come on." Right? He was inviting me to his house.
Right. How did he look like?
I didn't hear his voice. I mean, I didn't see him, but I heard his voice, and he was calling me.
Okay.
And I knew that if I took that route, right, whatever it is that you think of.
So what was the voice saying?
The voice was saying, "Hey," he was pretty much saying, "Hey, you want to be done? I'll take your life right now today." Okay.
Were you doing a lot of drugs at the time?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you can hear all kinds of crazy shit when you're under the influence.
That day was a real wake up call for me, and that day really changed my life because I know I didn't want to go down that route.
Right.
And I felt like I've always been a good guy. Right, but I was just trapped in another body.
Not only that, man, most drug addicts or people that become drug addicts, because you're not a drug addict first. You just try it, right? And at the beginning, it's all nice and cool and the feeling, euphoria, however you want to call it. I don't know, because I don't do drugs. Can't say that I never have, but once you start going down that path, and then you don't really like what you're doing because you don't feel well, And I got friends that were big into like cocaine and stuff like that, and they said, "Man, you just gotta do some more so you don't come down, so you can stay up, right?" So eventually, that hangover is gonna get to you, and you're like, "I don't want this anymore because I need this thing to kind of like function." And I could only imagine what the devil will sound like, like you want, like you said, he wants your life, he can take it down, and it's kind of like a wake-up call for you. It's like, now that you quit cold turkey, how did that work?
It was do or die, right? So I stopped talking to everyone I knew. I actually moved to another county. And when I say everyone, I mean everyone, except, at that time, it, was my girlfriend, but now my wife. But I stopped talking to everyone. When I say everyone, I mean everyone, sir. Every single person that I knew, I just moved to a different county. And
where do you go? What county was that?
I was living in San Diego County, and I went down to Riverside County.
Okay, where you are now, right?
Where I'm at now. Okay. And so I totally got a new set of friends. I got a new set of skills.
Did you read that somewhere?
Yeah,
or
Robert,
okay.
Rich Dad Poor Dad. Actually, that book is the one that changed my life, and I was not a reader. I read that book.
How the hell do you pick up that book? Because I can picture that many people in that state picking up a book.
So, because of my nice Irish gal that grew up reading, okay, we went to a bookstore because she loves to read, and so we went. And I was just, just looking around for books. And out of all the books, I didn't even read. That one was there, and I just picked it up. I picked it up, and then I said, I should ask the cashier if it's a good book. And she said, it's the number one book. I read the book, And then after it was done, I still have the book. I turned it over and I said, now I know exactly what my purpose is. Now I know what I want to do. This is it. And that's what really started that journey.
I'm familiar with the book picked you, man. That book picked you. The universe has a strange way of working things for us, right? So, okay, so you read the book. You're like, shit, I got to be on one of the quadrants. And I'm not in any quadrants right now.
Zero.
Right, you were on zero, you were outside of that box, right? Completely outside of the box. So once you read the book, what was the next step?
The next step was going to be, it was going to be self-growth.
Self-development.
Thank you. Self-development. And that was the biggest thing, right? Because I needed to get my head on right before I could move forward. So I did a lot of hypnosis. I did a lot of tapping.
Have you ever met Mark Juswick?
I don't think so.
I got to introduce you to that guy. He's a master hypnotist.
Oh, I would love that.
This dude is badass. I'm telling you right now. Badass.
I love it.
He lives in Vegas, so not far from you.
Please do put me in touch with him.
I will. He's my friend. So
I am a firm believer. And what I did was not only did I do like NLP, not only did I do tapping.
There's another guy, Ruben Mata. You know Ruben?
No, I've heard of Ruben Mata though.
Great friend of mine. Great friend of mine. Literally, we do stuff together all the time.
That's awesome.
He's in Orange County, not far from you. I'll make sure I'll introduce you to him too.
Please do.
Shout out to Ruben, man. Ruben has been in this podcast twice. True story, man. The first time he came, that's why I love doing this podcast, because I get to know people at a personal level more than anything else. And when Ruben came in, I really didn't know his story, man. I thought I knew of him, but I didn't know him that well. And he told his story on how he almost committed suicide and pretty much was going to cut his veins up. And when he was in a very bad spot, in his life, emotionally and financially. He had lost everything, the whole 9 yards. And I'm not saying anything that he hasn't said here before, so it's not like I'm trying to gossip or anything like that, right? Full disclosure. When he's getting ready to take his life, he heard a voice, but this time he heard God. He didn't hear the devil. And the voice he heard is, "It is not your life to take.
Wow.
Stand." And he had the razor in his hand, and he was like, he started crying, and then he just stood up, and that was it. He didn't kill himself. Wow. So interesting. We've had two different people on this podcast now. One that was talked by God, and another one was talking to the devil at some point. So, but I'll make sure I'll make that introduction, because he's not far from you, and he's a great friend of mine.
That'd be awesome.
So, okay, I'm sorry I interrupted you. So, you went through you started doing self-development.
On my own.
NLP. I mean, you talked about hypnotist first, then NLP.
Tapping. You ever heard of tapping?
I've heard of tapping some things, but what is tapping?
Tapping is to get your left brain and your right brain.
Okay, yes.
in sync. So you're going to tap in certain places.
Yeah.
Right, just your trigger.
Yep.
Okay.
Have you ever read the book Secrets of the Millionaire Mind?
Yes.
So you got to touch your head and say, "I am whatever." That's what that is. Tapping.
So that's great, right? So let's talk about that, because that's what I did. Imagine like a computer that's got nothing in it, or has the wrong information.
Right.
You got to take out the wrong information, and you got to put in the right information.
The right information.
I had all the wrong information, Ricardo.
Yeah.
So I was desperately looking for all the
Not
right
only
information.
A lot of us had all the wrong information in the freaking hard drive, So it's just that some of us stay there longer than others. That's it. How do you do that? Like,
it is a mindset, and for me, when I had decided that I was going to that I was really going to put my mind, body, and soul and everything. And when I say everything, Ricardo, I burned every boat. Okay, when I say I'm willing to give up everything, that's like everything that I have. That meant, getting rid of everyone in my life. And when I say
Yeah,
everyone,
that's the first thing you did. You upgraded your friends.
yeah,
You said, "Hey, man, I can't talk to these people no more. I'm gonna go from San Diego County to Orange County. Riverside County. And by the way, I'm gonna make it a point to where I'm not talking to them anymore, guys." This is one of the most valuable lessons that we just started with today in the podcast is upgrading your friends. I don't know how many times I tell people, you got to upgrade your friends. You got to quit talking to some of your family members because sometimes your family members are the ones keeping you down, unfortunately. That doesn't mean you don't love them, right? You know, you get that cousin or uncles or whatever that they did stuff to you or they're not a good, they're not good for your environment. And they still love you, right? But that doesn't mean you don't love them back. But just because you're not talking to them doesn't mean you don't love them back. You just got to upgrade from there because they're not good for you. Or the friends that are saying, "Hey, let's go out party on Saturday night or Friday night," or "Hey, let's go do these drugs or get drunk or get high." You got to upgrade those things. And if you don't do it, then you're going to just be stuck there.
Yeah, doing the reverse of what you said, which would be reading more, go to sleep early, surround yourself with people that have more knowledge and more money than you do.
Yeah.
And then really, for me, it was just a mental. It was a mentality, right? And so once I started working on myself and getting rid of like all the crap, and then I was able to really start moving forward and really gaining some traction. So I spent a while
working on yourself
in self-development, a long time.
Are you still doing self-development?
I still do. Every morning I go into like heavy meditation, and I really try to see what my day is going to look like. I foresee, hey, this week, this is going to happen. I try to put it out in the universe. Visualize, because for me, it's really real. I know that if I can, if it's in here, and then I put it on some tangible, which is a piece of paper, because now I can see the piece of paper. I can tear the piece of paper, right? It's real, right? The thing is, when people don't put their goals on paper, it's not real because it's not tangible. And
they're just wishes.
It's just wishes. I would write every single day, and I would recite it every single day, the actions that I was going to take. So,
what year is this? How long ago was this?
I want to say the first couple years between 2009 to 2012 was where all the
self-development started to happen. Yeah. So when will you consider that you had left drugs behind or that world behind? Not necessarily drugs. It was just the whole environment.
Yeah, just the whole negative environment. I would say I really started leaving that like in when I started.
When you moved.
When I moved in 2009, that's when everything happened. So I would say, move out of your house, right? Get rid of all your friends. If your partner is behind you, great. If your partner's not behind you, move on.
Leave the partner too.
Leave the partner, leave the family, leave the friends, leave everything. Like move, and then start new.
And how was that first month, man?
I think that any change is really difficult, and I think it's an uphill battle the first couple of years. So I wouldn't even say the first month.
But like if you're intoxicated, right, and you're cleaning yourself up now, and you're leaving all that shit behind, how is that like?
Imagine that you're like at the Mojave Desert and it's like 120 degrees, and you're going out. You got to go up like. Massive mountain.
Right.
That's what it feels like. That's what you're looking at. It's not easy. It is tough. You really need to dig so deep down inside that you got to go back to when you were a kid. So I had to keep going back to when I was 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, as far as I can remember, to make things good then. Because everything you do as an adult goes back to when you were a child. So now you're an adult, but you still have these childlike manners. Right. So I had to go back as far as I can remember and start making peace with that. So now as an adult, that's no longer carried with me.
Well, the reality is that most of us, not all of us, but most of us, we operate at the 7-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Why do I say that? Because your subconscious mind and who you are is created by the time you're 7.
Mhm.
So anything after that is just a reflection of the 7-year-old, right? What you did when you started getting cleaned up and you moved on and all that is you started working on fixing the 7-year-old.
Yes.
That's why you had to make peace with the 7-year-old.
Yes.
It's not that you were making peace, you were fixing the 7-year-old. See, 7-year-old didn't know how to behave the rest of his life. And that's why you get into drugs, you get into the hanging out, whatever. You know, we all do. I mean, I can tell you I was a full-blown alcoholic by the age of 15 years old, you know. So we all got our skeletons in the closet. The beautiful thing is guys like you and me, we open up and we let the skeletons out to help other people out. Not everybody has the balls to do that. So, and the reason I ask you about the uphill battle is because I never went through the drug addiction myself, or being in a situation where I had to go get myself cleaned up or rehabbed or whatever. But I'm gonna imagine or suppose, and correct me if I'm wrong, that's probably what you were doing when you moved. You were just detoxing yourself from people, chemicals, environment, like the whole
Culture.
Right? And sometimes it's not even the drug the problem. It's more of the environment that gets you in there, you know, because drugs are in your system for just a few days. Even cigarette, you know, tobacco lasts in your bloodstream for 48 to 72 hours. That's it. After that, you're not really addicted to tobacco. What you got is a habit.
Yes.
Bring in your freaking hand. And I used to be a smoker. That's why I know about that stuff. But anyhow, it's a big mountain at 120 degrees, and you're just getting started at the bottom.
Yes.
What kind of support system did you build going up the mountain?
I have a day 0 or a day 1, and that's my wife. And I want to say that I owe a lot to her, and because of her, I'm here today in front of you.
What's her name?
Her name's Chrissy.
Chrissy, thank you so much for allowing this guy to be in front of us today and for helping him out and for being his support system. I can tell you love for that woman with all your heart.
You know, I think that behind every strong man is a stronger woman.
Yes.
And I want to say, you know, I really want to say that the women are our real backbones. They're the ones that really got the muscle.
Yep.
They really do. We think that we do. Just know we don't. And that's okay. Yeah. Right? And so she did something that I was never used to. Right? She, besides being, you know, my girlfriend, now my wife, she was very caring, and she gave me that nurture that I never got as a kid.
Right. Your parents were out, were working.
Not only were they working, but they had the kind of the whole culture of, you know, like, hey, if you don't do that, I'm gonna whip your ass. Like, you need to get done like right now.
Yeah.
Right. And so there was never like,
there was a culture of discipline. I'm gonna discipline you, but there was not a culture of I'm gonna love you.
Correct. And I never got that. And so
I got a little bit of that. Just a little bit. You know, I just got a little bit of that. But my mom will tell me that she will love me. My dad too, but it was more discipline than anything else, you know. In my case.
My case wasn't like that.
There wasn't.
No, there really wasn't. And it was more like, if I came home and I got my ass kicked and I got a black eye, I was going to get my ass kicked again at home. Okay?
Yeah.
If I got in a fight and if I won, I was okay.
Well, my grandfather was like that, though. I remember one time I got into a fight with one of the neighbors and shit, and he kicked my ass, man. And I went in the house just crying. My fucking arm is all hurting or whatever. And he just said, if you don't go back out there and kick his ass, I'm going to kick your ass right now. And I was like, oh, shit, I got to go back out there and kick his ass. Right? So I can understand what you're talking about. So do you have kids?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I have 2 kids.
How many times do you tell them you love them?
Pretty much every time I talk to them on the phone or through text message.
Yeah, you're changing. You're changing the
directory is what I wanted to change, and one of the reasons was for my wife and for my 2 boys, because I didn't want them to grow up and say, "Oh, my dad is a drug dealer. My dad is in prison." I did not want that because I had that, so I was not going to put them through that.
Right.
And that's why that's the real reason I changed. The real reason I changed.
That's awesome.
Because I wanted those 2 boys, right, to look up and be proud.
How old are they now?
19. One's 19. The other one is 18.
They're cold calling already or what?
They're actually door knocking.
They're door knocking.
They door knock. They work as plumbers, but they have come into the office and they do door knock. And they're part of what we got going on with the real estate business.
That's awesome, man. So, all right, let's talk about real estate. How do you get into real estate?
Well, my mom was a realtor. My brother was a mortgage guy, still is a mortgage guy, and I have a sister also that is in real estate also.
Okay.
So all my family does real estate.
What kind of real estate is your sister doing?
She's just a regular agent.
An agent, okay.
Yeah, and so is my mother, and my brother is a mortgage broker.
Well, how do you land here? Like, I understand you got your family is in real estate. How do you say I'm going to become a wholesaler or a flipper or whatever? I don't know. Like, how do you enter the world of real estate?
I read that Robert Kiyosaki book, and I thought I wanted to be a flipper until I learned that I hated construction. Actually, I hated the guys that I work with. I did not like that part of it. I liked being on my own, but I didn't want to work in construction. I worked a little bit doing loans with my brother. I didn't want to do loans. I didn't want to show property like my mother and sister, but I like construction, and I really liked was the negotiations part of it. So in 2012, when I started working for this flipper that turned into a builder,
okay,
right? When I saw what all the crap that he was going through, then my mind switched. I thought, hey, I don't really want to be a flipper. I don't want to do that. Right. And then I found this other avenue of wholesaling, and I really liked that. I really loved wholesaling. I said, hey, I like talking to people. Right. I don't really like to pick up the hammer, but I like talking to people. Yeah. I like negotiations. I like all that stuff. And that's where I started attending, my local real estate club. Right. And that's where I really got into the wholesaling. I thought, hey, this is the avenue that I wanted to take.
That's awesome. And what year are we talking about this?
I want to say that 2015, when I started as a door knocker for Home Investors of America.
Okay.
That's where I got the little switch. So it wasn't until I actually started going out and started door knocking.
Were you door knocking pre-foreclosures or?
Yeah, notice of defaults, notice of trustee sales, and it was mostly down in the hood. So it worked out really great for me. I was working down in the hood, and it was really easy because nobody wanted to go there.
Yeah, so you had the market for yourself.
It worked out really great for me, and I learned a lot. I learned a lot on notice of defaults. I started learning more, and that's really what propelled me from working as a door knocker to actually starting up a company and actually starting doing wholesaling.
This is 2015 going on 2016.
Mm-hmm.
And you were just by yourself.
Yep, I was just door knocking. And, I've always had I've always had like a small little entourage.
Yeah.
Always. I was like, hey, you want to go door knocking? Cool.
Let's go.
Who else want to go? Right? Even at my local real estate club, I was known as a door knocker.
Okay.
But that was 2015 and 2016.
Okay, and when is it that you started learning from Cody Sperber?
Well, Cody Sperber was really at the beginning in 2012.
That's a long time.
That's a long time ago. And the thing is, I knew
9
zero.
years ago.
I didn't know anything. I had no idea. The only thing I knew that I got was to go out. For me to take massive action was to go out and put signs. So that's what I did. I went out and put signs. And as you know, would you mind if we get into that?
Yeah.
Okay. So in 2012 was at the very beginning that I took Cody Sperber's course.
Okay.
Okay. And I didn't know exactly what I was doing, but I wanted to take the most action. So I kept kicking Cody's shins. I was like, listen, what do I need to do today? Like today, right? What needs to happen today? Like I want to take some action today. And he's like, go put out banner signs. So I did, and the phone rang, and I was able to get a house. I got a house. I didn't know what I was doing. And I got Cody on the phone to help me negotiate this thing.
Okay.
So that was like my very first experience, which turned out to be a very tough experience, right? Because I actually wasn't talking to the real seller.
Oh, that's the story you told him. Okay, let's get on to that. Let me sit back and relax here. I want you to tell this story. Come on, let's do it.
Okay, so 2012, fresh. I didn't know anything. I didn't know much. I just knew that I wanted to do it. And so when I started with Cody, he was giving me all the modules and I was watching everything, but I wanted to take action. And once I started putting up signs, like I mentioned, I got a house, but it turned out to be the wrong seller. And so I was excited. So I was like, imagine like I was like had these.
It was a seller that didn't own the house.
He didn't own the house, and he had signed all the paperwork, and I had got an escrow company that was going to help me. And so we did all the paperwork. He signed. Everything seemed to be going pretty good. I actually put the house up on Craigslist.
Okay.
And I ended up getting like a crowd of like 12 people that just showed up.
Yeah.
And I ended up showing the house, and it was actually actually occupied by the renters, but the guy was really cool. He was really cool for me to show the house. Now, when we started getting close to escrow, it turned out that the real owner of the property showed up to the escrow company, and that's where we started having issues. Right? He showed up. I was already in the escrow company, and the other guy didn't show up. The other seller, the fake seller didn't show up, but the real seller ended up showing up at the escrow company.
Okay.
And that's where things took a turn. And
so how were you able to coordinate showings with the tenants?
So I was talking to the fake seller.
Okay.
And he said, sure, go ahead. You can go ahead and show the house, but there's someone there. So he said, coordinate with the renter. So I coordinated with the renter.
He gave you permission to go talk to the renter.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Then the crazier part is that I put it up on Craigslist and I had all these people show up.
Right.
And out of all those people, I was like, I need to pick one. That's what they told me to do. So I picked one. I picked the wrong guy. I picked the wrong guy to do business with. The right guy shows up at the escrow office, and he ends up calling. The police department, and they show up.
Yeah.
Police department shows up at the escrow office. Right. I get on the phone. All right. Hey Cody, the police showed up here. Right. The police showed up, and I'm like, I'm not sure what's going on, right? Because the escrow person said, hey, I need you to move to this room, right? They had me and the correct seller in the same room, and he stepped out, I suppose, to call the police, right? And then the escrow...
But didn't you talk to the guys like, hey, man, you own this property?
I didn't know him. I didn't know. I didn't know who he was. I didn't know that the guy sitting next to me was the real seller. I didn't know. I don't even know how he ended up showing at the escrow office.
It must have been the escrow office the one that called him.
Yeah, but we had the fake person's name and phone number. We didn't have the correct seller's phone number. Okay. Oh, I see. Maybe they could have put up his... Yeah. That's right.
They pulled up his address and said, hey, man, there's somebody trying to wholesale your house here. Really? Let me go look at it, right?
So that's where the problem happened. Was that I was talking to I did not have any experience.
Right.
I was talking to the wrong person, and I didn't even know how the process was supposed to work.
Right. So the correct seller shows up, though, that police shows up, then what? You go to jail.
Yeah, they actually take me to jail, right? So
how do you get out?
Well, what happened was, as I was leaving, they put me in handcuffs. I was leaving. I see the escrow owner, and I said, I told the police, hey, hold on a second. And I said, hey, I told the owner of the escrow company, hey, I apologize that this is happening. I was like unaware what's going on, but I said, I'm sorry. I want to apologize to you. So they take me to the station, and I was there for 15 or 20 minutes, and they brought me back. They actually brought me back
to the escrow.
They brought me back to the escrow office, and where I saw the owner of the escrow office and the real seller talking. And then so then they said, okay, we're gonna release you right now. So they release me, and then I start talking to the real owner. He's like, hey, this Jamaican guy, he's already got me for a couple properties. Could you help me? And I said, I'll help you. But I was already counting on this money to make my mortgage payment. So I'll help you, but it's going to cost you $1,500. I said, if you want to do it, I'll help you, but it's not going to be for free. So I called this Jamaican dude, and I arranged to meet with him in downtown Los Angeles. And the arrangement that we had, because I needed the money, was that I was going to meet him, and I told the fake seller,
that was the Jamaican dude.
yeah, that we were going to meet, and then I needed that I was going to need a piece of paper signed, and then the next day or the next couple of days, the next 3 days, they would release the rest of the money.
Right.
So I set a time and date to meet him in downtown Los Angeles.
Okay.
So now, me and the real seller meet near East Los Angeles.
Okay.
And he's got a bodyguard, right? He's got a bodyguard, and we're gonna meet this guy. And the bodyguard has a gun. I tell this guy, hey, I'm only doing this because I need the money, right? So I'm gonna risk my life. But if that guy has a gun, right? You know I don't have a gun. You got a gun. I want you to shoot that guy. Because if it's my life or his life, I want you to take his life, right? And he said, and I said, hey, I'm not messing around. If that guy puts a gun on me, I want you to pull the trigger on that guy.
Fucking crazy, dude.
Right? So he says, okay. So we're probably about 20 minutes from downtown Los Angeles. He says, hey, I want you to see what this Jamaican guy looks like, right? Because I want you to make sure, right? That's it. No problem. So we stopped by the police station where they're going to show me a picture of this Jamaican guy. And I never end up leaving that police station. Because what I didn't know was that same police station was already looking for me because it had already been reported. So I never ended up leaving the police station.
They reported what?
Oh, that the real seller had reported that there was something going on with his property. I think like 2 days prior, before we met in escrow. So this guy, this police station, right? They had already knowledge 2 days prior. So in their book, I was already guilty. So I never should have showed up to that police station. So the seller, the real seller said, let me show, we're going to stop by the station so you can see a picture of the fraud guy, right? But in their questioning me, I never left the police station.
Okay.
And from and I was talking to the detective, and I pretty much told him exactly what happened. And he was like, it just sounds crazy that you're going to pick up the house for like $90,000. That's just like insane. He's like, that's the part that I'm having trouble with. Right. So anyhow, I ended up going, I think I went in maybe Thursday night or Friday. I think I got out on Monday. So I did, about 4 days or so.
Yeah. And so how do you get bailed out? What was the process there? Like,
well, the same detective that put me in there called my wife had got a hold of the detective, and that same detective said, hey, there's not enough evidence, so we're gonna release him on they call it own recognition or something. So basically, I walked out on Monday. The detective let me out, but now I had this court date. Now I got a court date. You gotta
go show up.
I got a court date. It's like, hey, you can't do nothing. I think for a year, I can't do nothing. Can't leave. I can't leave the state. Can't work in real estate. Can't do. They said don't do nothing. So a year goes by, right? And I got this court date. So I show up, and they're like, hey, it was never even filed. They never even filed the case. So there's zero. So.
That's fucking crazy.
I went through all that stuff because the detective said there's no way that you can buy a house that cheap.
Wow. And so, do you ever reach out to Corey and say, "Hey, can you help me here? Like, is there something that we can do that way I can prove my innocence or something?"
You know, you know, while I was there, I wrote Cody a letter, right? It was really mostly for myself, but I wrote him a letter saying, hey, things went terribly wrong, right? But I want you to know that I'm never going to give up. Like, this is not going to stop me while I was in jail. And the guy next to me was in there for murder.
Yeah, I know. I've been there. I've been there too.
So
I know what kind of specimens you get yourself in it. So
I wrote him a letter, and it was really for me saying I would never give up, and that was
right.
I really held it really close to here. So when you heard me, when you heard me that day in Arizona, he didn't even know that I've done one transaction because I kept my mouth shut. I never told Cody anything because I really wanted to show him that I really did something.
So this is in 2012 that he was your mentor at the time, right? You went to jail sometime in 2012 for a few days. Then you had a court date a year later. You wrote him a letter saying, "I'm gonna never give up."
Well, I was in jail.
While you were in jail, I would have been writing him a letter like, "Fuck you, this and that. You got me in troubles." I don't know, something along those lines, right? But no, that wasn't you. That you were like, "Hey, man, I'm going to stick to it. I'm going to make this thing work. I'm never going to give up. I can't do shit right now, but I'm going to hold back." What did you end up doing during that year? Like,
you know, I was, like I said, I was mostly a handyman where I did a lot of work for myself. Like, you know, my forte was tile. So I can build countertops, build showers, do flooring. I also did, you know, baseboards, painting.
Just carpentry work. And all that,
so that's what I did. So luckily, I had heard another guy, Aaron, that you know. He had mentioned in one of his podcasts, he said, hey, if you want to get into real estate, you want to be good, you know, start a handyman business. And so that got me really excited, right? That got me really excited.
You open up another door.
That got me really excited. And you know, I think that helped. That helped my real estate career because I was already talking to homeowners, but it was only about fixing their property. And today, I only talk about buying their property instead of fixing their property.
Yeah.
So it helped out a lot because I got to see body language, right? I got to really
Career report.
Hear the tone of their voice,
understand,
and then
find
you know,
motivation.
Yeah, but my biggest thing was body language. Like the words they counted, but not as much as your body language.
NLP will tell everything.
Yeah.
So okay, so now this is 2013. When did you re-engage back into real estate?
2015 is when I went.
So you went about 3 years that you worked as a handyman. Your case was in the past. And in 2015, you re-engaged. I would have fucking had PTSD over that shit. I was like, man, going out to find a house, there's no freaking way I'm going to go find me a house after I spent a weekend in jail for finding a house and wholesaling it, you know?
Everyone told me, don't do it.
No, and you know, and everyone was wrong, obviously. But me personally, if I'm brand new, spanking new, right, and I go through somebody's training, call it Cordy, whoever, right, and I'm about to close my first deal, and I end up in jail that weekend, I doubt that I'll ever get back into fucking real estate that way, right? How the hell do you open up yourself again to that? Like,
well, so I'm gonna back up just a little bit, so you can understand where I'm coming from. I lived in Tijuana for a couple years, so I got to see the worst of the worst from a third world country. I got to see all the worst shit. This country is the best country in the world. So going from like almost a third world country,
no, it is a third world country.
I was like, this is a piece of cake, and I thought, hey, I'm never going to give up unless God takes my life. Yeah. That's the only way I would give up. Right. And I made a lot of promises to my wife and let her saying, hey, I'm going to make it this next month. And this next month went to another year. And the next year went to 5 years. And that 5 years went to 10 years. But one thing I was never going to do is ever give up. Ever. That never even crossed my line. Never. I'd rather sleep in my car. I'd rather do anything.
So how do you end up sleeping in your car? You told me that earlier. It's like, man, I slept in my car. I've been homeless. I'm this. Let's talk about that for a minute.
Okay. I think whether you're working for yourself as a handyman or, any entrepreneurship, right? You got your ups and downs. And when it goes down, there's no money. And when there's no money, you're going to find a way, or I'm going to find a way.
You found yourself in a situation where you have more month at the end of your money.
Yep. And so because I was a rehabber, I spent a lot of time, working on houses. I had a little crew. So what we would do is we would go away to, like another county, like LA County, Palm Springs, and we would stay and live at the house.
While you work on.
While you're working.
Yeah.
But when I got into real estate, I couldn't stay at the house because I wasn't fixing it.
Right.
Right. And I live about an hour away from the office. So I knew I couldn't go back and forth because I didn't have any money. I spent it on marketing. I spent it on, we spent $25,000 on mailers that maybe we just bought one house.
Who do you learn that from? The mailers.
We learned it from ourselves.
Okay, you were just trying to do whatever.
We were action takers. So we're going to take the action and then figure it out later, right?
Yeah.
So when times got tough, right, and I couldn't make it back home because I really didn't have any money, I was going to stay in the car because I knew I wasn't going to die. I know it won't happen. Even if it's for a week, a month, 5 months, I'm going to figure it out.
Right.
And I think I'm blessed. I'm blessed to go through all this stuff because I can't imagine that if I had not endured all this stuff, I may be doing something that I don't want to be doing, like swinging a hammer, right?
Fixing houses, whatever, maybe driving a taxi, who knows?
Doing something I don't want to do.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
What do you like the best about what you do right now?
The best thing, the most fulfilling thing that I like is really helping folks out. And what I mean by that is a lot of times, at least in my world, they don't have money. They don't have electricity. They don't have water. They don't even have food. And the best feeling in the world is to really give to those people because they don't have anything and expect zero in return because I know what it's like. I know the struggle for reals. And the best feeling is hugging those people and let them know that someone does love them and someone does care. And that's the best feeling in the world. Yeah. That's why I'm here on this earth.
Right? To help other people out.
To help all those folks, the less fortunate. Right? The
now,
underdogs.
Now, do you believe in creating your own fortune?
Oh, yes, sir.
So why do you think they're less fortunate?
I think that they're less fortunate because they don't know what they don't know, right? You're unconscious, and you can become unconscious, conscious, right? You're unaware, but you can become aware, and they just don't know because they don't know.
Yeah, and nobody makes them aware, or if somebody's trying to make them aware, they don't want to be.
They're asleep.
They don't want to wake up.
No. Right? That reality is tough, Ricardo. It's a brutal reality when you wake up and you're on your own and you got to go, fend for yourself, go hunting for yourself, and you do everything on your own.
I know. I do that every day. So, all right, good, man. So now you love helping people. I can tell you got a big heart. Now you have a wholesaling operation, right? What does that look like?
It's me and another guy. We're partners. Actually, there's three of us.
Okay.
But it's really me and Tommy.
Okay. Who's actually here on the studio, by the way, but he's just hiding behind the camera, taking videos.
He likes to be. He likes me to be. He
likes to be the background guy.
He likes to be the guy.
That's good. That's good.
What it looks like today is it's me and Tommy, and then our other partner is a buyer, but he's been there from day one.
Okay.
So he's part of our team. We have high-level meetings, level 10 meetings 3 times a week where we're all on board, and we just put everything on there. But today what it looks like, it's me and Tommy, our wives. My wife is in acquisitions.
Okay.
Tommy's wife is in disposition. We have one integrator that helps us with the SMS. He's from the Middle East. And then we got 3 VAs from the Philippines. And we're bringing one gal up from the cold callers, we're pushing her up to be on offense on acquisition.
Awesome. And what kind of lead flow, or not lead flow, but maybe deal flow do you have going on at any given time?
So when you say deal flow, like leads coming in?
Like how many contracts do you have? How many are you selling?
Oh, I see. Okay, so I want to say for probably the last year or last 10 months, we've been consistent in closing at least 1 or 2 deals a month.
Okay.
Over the summer we got 4 in 1 month.
That's good.
Typically what it looks like is 1 or 2 deals
every month.
Yeah.
What's the average assignment?
I think the average assignment is probably going to be somewhere between 10 and 15 typically.
Okay, so you have $30,000 to $40,000 a month, roughly coming in with the current deal flow that you have.
Yeah, I would
not
say
every month, because we know some months you don't close on nothing, and then another month you close on 3, and when you have just a few deals on the pipeline, that's what happens. Mm-hmm. You're consistently bringing deals, but your cash flow may be inconsistent.
That's right.
Because of when they close.
That's
and
right.
the time it takes you to get more. Mm-hmm. I know, I've been there. So,
yeah. You know what we really have? I want to mention this. Throughout the years, and this is just recent. It's just recent that I feel like we really have gone the full circle, and now we just need to do all the work. And what I mean by that is, now we have a full-time driver. And his job is just to drive, right? The next sequence after that is our integrator is going to send a piece of mail.
Right.
The next sequence after that is we're going to send them a text message based on the mailer. Right. And then the next sequence after that is we're going to call them based on the piece of mail, right? And so we're always bringing in new leads every single. Our cold callers do a really good job. We typically are getting pushed somewhere between 5 and 7 leads that are coming into our CRM.
A day?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Roughly. So I feel like just recently we have the whole operation in full circle, and now we're just kind of moving, people around. I mentioned we have one cold caller. We're moving her up to acquisition because we need more on the offense, right? So we're getting her to actually be able to qualify before they get to me or to Tommy.
Yeah, you're closers.
Yeah. So that's one thing that we were lagging on is we were actually doing the qualifying.
Yeah, you're doing lead generating, qualifying, closing, selling, the whole 9 yards. You're wearing all the different hats. Mm-hmm. What I find is that most people that are doing anywhere from 1 to 5 deals, that's what they're doing. Mm-hmm. They're doing they got 10 multiple hats. They're so fast at changing hats, it's unreal, right? So what I find is the guys that are doing 5 and up, let's say 5 to 10 deals contracted on a monthly basis, they might wear less hats, but they got more people now on their team. And the guys that are doing 20 and up, they wear 1 hat. Mm-hmm. And now they got a bunch of team members that have 1 hat each. Yeah. And if I had to describe it on deal flow, that's what I've seen. Because before you guys came in, I had another guy. He's doing phenomenal JV deals. Shout out to Milton, who's probably listening to this podcast now. And he's killing it on JVs. He's a dispo guy. So JVs on the dispo guy, but he wears all his hats, right? He's making a killing, but he's like, Ricardo, I got to, I want to scale because I'm doing everything. And sometimes I feel like I'm not doing enough or like I'm just so busy, I don't even pay attention to certain things and this and that. And I said, yeah, man, you need to incorporate more team members and start delegating some hats. That way, you can grow and now you can really have a business. The guy before him, it's a little bit step above. So he's doing more deals. He's still wearing multiple hats, but now he's getting to the 5 to 10, right? And then I've had guys here that are doing 30, 40 deals, and they don't even know what the seller looks like. You know what I'm saying? So they just got that one hat, which is a CEO hat, and they're just handling the puppets, basically. So, man, you have a great story, Charlie, and I thank you for opening up with the real estate entrepreneurs audience and being real. This is something we need more in our industry, is real people telling real stories and sharing some of the struggles. That way, we learn, because I learn every day. And it's pretty when you have all these wins, right? Oh yeah, I fucking make $100,000 per month, and I drive a Ferrari, and look at the new watch I just got, right? That's all the byproduct of many different things that came before. And just to have you come here, fly from California, open up and tell your story, how you went to jail, how you went wearing drugs, how you freaking had your wife save you your life. That's amazing, man. Thank you so much for opening up your heart, your story, coming to Houston and telling people how it is, because there is more of us than there is the success people that are just showing the success. And I wish more people will come out and share those the struggles. Not that we want to display just setbacks and not wins, but it's for you to understand that you're gonna go through shit, man, and you're gonna have to get up. You're gonna fall down. You're gonna have to get back up. You're gonna have to build a support system. You're gonna have to find that wife or girlfriend that's gonna help you push through, or the husband. Maybe you're a girl listening to this and you're going through struggles. We all do. But never give up, like Charlie says. Never give up. He never gave up.
And I just want to say, Ricardo, it's cool until you get hit by Mike Tyson and you hit the canvas, right? But it's when you get up is where the magic happens. You got to get hit. You got to feel that punch by Mike Tyson. And I think a lot of people don't feel it because they're at home and everything's safe. And when you get uncomfortable and you get the wind knocked out, you really get hit really hard by Mike Tyson, that's when it really starts. That's when the growth really begins.
Man, thank you so much for sharing that, bro. I appreciate you, Charlie. October 21st through the 24th, guys, the RE3 Mastermind, the Real Estate Entrepreneurs Event and Mastermind in Miami, Florida. This is one you don't want to miss. We have the early bird tickets already out. The link will be posted below, re3mastermind.com. Charlie, thank you so much for coming in and sharing your story. I really want to do a repeat with you probably next year. To see how you were able to grow from here now, because I think you have a pretty bright future, and your partner as well on your operation. I know he's about to jump full time into the whole thing and lose the golden handcuffs, as we call it. That's how I call it. I want to see you guys in about a year again, and hopefully next time I can get Tony on the hot seat. And so he can tell us a little bit about his background and his past life. But October 21st to the 24th, guys, re3mastermind.com. That's where you get your tickets. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. Share this with everybody and their mama so they can listen to Charlie Hustle's story, guys. I'll see you on the next one.